Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This one's from user Ray's Groundbreaking 37. I walked in on my husband cheating on me last weekend, and now I'm a mess. My husband and I met when I was 17 and he was 22. We have been together for 16 years and married for 7. We have a daughter who is now 12 and a half. Last weekend, he went out to meet up with work colleagues for a leaving party at the beach. They went out in the day, and around 5 p.m. he called asking to bring a few people back for a bit. I agreed. He came back with a guy and 2 girls he works with, and I sat downstairs with them for a while before going to bed as I had work early. They were all drinking and were pretty drunk. I told my husband to get them all to go as I had to work and daughter had school in the morning. I fell asleep but was woken up to them about 10 p.m. being noisy. Again, I messaged my husband and he came upstairs. He said he was asking them to leave. I heard the door go about 11:30 p.m. and I woke up. I tried getting back to sleep but couldn't and ended up going downstairs as husband wasn't in bed. I opened the living room door and he was sat with his pants down and a girl he works with sat on top of him. They weren't having sex, but she had her pants down and so did he. I kicked her out of my house, not sure how I didn't punch her, and have pretty much felt sick since that moment. My husband was obviously drunk. The first thing he said was that her name? I've been off work since. I immediately told him I wanted a divorce and made him tell our daughter a toned down version so she understands why I'm so upset and why he's sleeping in the spare room. She hasn't spoken to him all week. The first few days, all I did was cry. I couldn't believe he had done this, and in our home while we were both upstairs. I have spoken to him since, and I can see he really regrets it. He said that he was so drunk he didn't know what was going on, but remembers seeing them all out of the house, so she must have come back in. I've checked his phone while he was sleeping, and there's nothing untoward on there. He says this girl repulses him, which I think makes it worse somehow. Now I feel like I have all of this pressure to decide basically what happens to our family. I have to decide whether I could move on from this or want to divorce him. This doesn't feel fair and I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm not sure if I could get past the image I have to want to be intimate with him ever again. I'm not sure I can be a single parent or afford to live without him. I'm just a mess. Wow, OP, I am so sorry you had to see that. This situation absolutely sucks. I'm sure you guys have heard me say that when somebody chooses to get drunk, whatever they do afterwards is still their responsibility. Now, the last time I said this, one person in the comment did come up with an edge case in which this is wrong. When somebody is so blackout drunk that somebody else might take advantage of them without their knowledge or consent. That is abuse, and that is not the responsibility of the person that got drunk. Now, if the person that got drunk did make the choice to sleep with somebody else, then yeah, that is their responsibility. However, there are 2 things that OP wrote on her post that made me think of this edge case. She said that the co-worker was on top of her husband, both had their pants down, but they weren't having sex. And then the husband asks, was that her name? Now, you guys know that I would never defend a cheater for very personal reasons. But this situation just doesn't add up to me. There's something that's missing. What do you guys think about this situation? Did that stand out to you too? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's continue with the community comments to see what they had to say. Level Turbulent says, it sucks having to be the responsible adult because your husband decided to be a dirtbag, doesn't it? Especially when you're hurting and your whole world is falling apart and he's just like, duh, I can't remember, duh, who I was naked with, duh. Let me tell you how this plays out if you stay. He sees it as a pass. He's remorseful now, but if you don't get over it, on his timeline, he gets angry. He throws it in your face. He can't even remember what's your problem. You still have to see these co-workers. They'll know what happened. If he doesn't tell them, she will. Some will find it funny and laugh at your pain. Some will feel sorry for you that you were so humiliated. People will critique every aspect of you and your life and your family to determine why he did this. especially with a girl so repulsive. They'll talk about your body, they'll talk about the decor in your house. They'll theorize on what you're like in the bedroom and how it's probably your fault for being frigid or vanilla. You'll be expected to go to work events and socialize with these people and smile while you eat the crab sandwich and they gossip about you behind your back. You'll die inside a little more each time you learn something new about what they said, or your husband rolls his eyes at you and tells you to get over it. He was drunk. You won't be the mother to your daughter that you want to be because of the betrayal trauma. You won't feel safe. You'll try to verify things to make yourself feel safe and heal, and you'll be called paranoid and crazy for it. This is a brutal thing to go through, and I am so sorry. I know how much it hurts. But if you stay and let him rug sweep it, this will destroy you. Even if you're open to reconciliation later, you have to get out of this dynamic and away from these people. You have to save yourself and your child. Look up Chump Lady, read her book, read her blog, read the comments from other people who have lived it. Learn what false reconciliation is so you can see it if it's happening. Learn about betrayal trauma so you aren't surprised by what happens to you while you go through this. It's a hard road, but you can get through it and thrive. Maleficent Ear 9024 says, if you checked his phone and didn't see any further evidence of him cheating on you with her, then I dare say maybe he was taken advantage of? I mean, I'm not saying that he wasn't capable of getting out of the situation himself, but from what you described, it sounds like he was pretty hammered. The whole thing sounds fishy, but it doesn't seem like your husband intended on cheating, being that his phone didn't indicate anything else, as you said. Either way, it's a crappy situation to be in, and I am sorry you have to go through it. OP responds, when I read through his phone, I saw him speaking to a work friend who was there that night. She said to him she knew this girl liked him and has done for a while. She said that she wouldn't get into a taxi when they were all going. John's JS1 says, so either he's a cheating dirtbag or she abused him. Either your husband betrayed you or he was abused while drunk. Reverse the genders. Girl found insensibly drunk underneath a guy who she isn't sure who it is and is repulsed by after he snuck back in, after being told to leave. I'd maybe slow down a bit and check your facts. Obviously you're hurting and you're definitely not to blame, and probably he is, but maybe check. It's a pretty stupid move to cheat in your own home with your wife upstairs and doesn't sound like in character. Okay, so the community is either telling OP how this thing is gonna play out and how her life will be if she stays, and there are others that are also having this weary feeling like I am at the moment because there's some things that just don't add up. The phone thing, for example, like OP said, she didn't find anything on his phone. This could mean that he has another phone or that he really is not having an affair. Also, the fact that she saw the text with the other coworker saying that she would not get in the taxi when they were all going. That sounds weird too, doesn't it? And once again, and just in case, I am not defending a cheater. If the husband did make the conscious choice to get underneath that girl without his pants on, then yeah, he sucks and he is to blame. But if it's the other way around and he was absolutely blackout drunk, he was not pursuing anything, and she got back in the house and did all this, then that is assault. At this point, and with what the community has said, what do you guys think is really going on? While you think about that, let's move on to the update to see what further information OP has gathered. I thought I'd post an update on here following on from my post last week. I find it helps to write things down. I'm still off work as I've been trying to get my head around what happened. After all of the comments on my original post regarding possible sexual assault, it got me thinking. Without mentioning it, I asked my husband to tell me everything he remembered from that night. He said he remembers asking them all to go as they were being loud and he was under a blanket falling asleep. The next thing he remembers was me walking in the room. I decided to message the affair partner to ask her what happened and how. I asked her how it happened, who initiated it, what she remembered, and she kept saying, "I was drunk, I made a mistake, I'm really sorry," instead of giving me proper answers. I told her if she was really sorry, then the least she could do was tell me. Her response was, "I should have gone home, but I didn't, and one thing led to another, and you walked in." At this point, I got my husband to message the other co-workers who were there that night to ask how she ended up staying there when they left, as this was bugging me and he didn't remember. They both said affair partner was pretending to call a taxi home. This set off alarm bells for me. I messaged affair partner again and asked her if she likes my husband, to which she admitted. I asked her how she ended up staying, and she said that my husband said she could stay. We checked this with other co-worker who said that this didn't happen, as he was either asleep under a blanket or so out of it he wasn't talking. The scenario I have is that affair partner likes my husband. He asks them all to go and she pretends to call a taxi home in order to stay behind on her own. The others leave as co-worker's partner picks them up. According to the co-workers, husband is asleep under the blanket. Next thing he knows, I walk in on what is happening. I have come to view this as either she has sexually assaulted or taken advantage of him. Affair partner has since asked for a transfer in work, which I see as more evidence that she realizes what she did. I spoke with my husband about this. He was of the impression that a man can't be sexually assaulted. I told him to flip around the genders and see if he thought the same way then. He's gone to stay at his mom's for a few days while I work out what I want to do. He said even if she did take advantage of him, he got himself into that position by being so drunk and will not be drinking at all moving forwards. He has assured me, and I do believe him, that he has no interest in affair partner and what happened wasn't part of an affair. And that's all we know up until now. I will be keeping an eye on this story to see how it further develops. But up to this point, what do you guys think now? Obviously for me, my initial gut feeling that this was weird and that something else was going on is solidifying as that OP's husband was sexually assaulted. I do have to say that it's sad that OP's husband was under the impression that man can't be sexually assaulted. We've seen this in many stories and it's a recurring topic apparently, but it is absolutely wrong. Man can be taken advantage of. So at this point, let's check out what the community thinks now about what is going on. Wick 2016 says, flip the genders. Hell, try to even swap roles. If you were sexually abused in your own home while drunk by a sleazy male coworker and your husband wanted nothing to do with you, or worse, victim blamed you, how would you feel? If he wanted to divorce you and told your child a sanitized story that resulted in them not speaking to you, drunk women being sexually abused while drunk because they could not give consent also applies to men. Please try to see things from his perspective. Bama123 says, if you did flip the genders and he left you after it happened because he wanted to work out what he wanted to do, people would probably tell him how bad of a person he is and how he should be there for you. OP responds, I completely agree. I suppose the issue is what I saw that night. Girl in red costume says, I don't get blackout drunken parties because I don't risk being abused by any effort. Does it mean the fault is on the person who was drunk? No, this would be victim blaming. He was at home with colleagues that he must feel at least comfortable with if he called them home. This girl's story is effed up. She keeps apologizing, her story differs from the other colleagues, and your husband was incapacitated. I think you should talk to your husband and a lawyer and press charges of sexual assault. OP's edit. It was him who suggested going to his mom's to give me some space. I absolutely agree with the last commenter. OP, you and your husband should talk to a lawyer and press charges. Then you'll see how she reacts and how she maybe admits to what she did. The thing is, I honestly don't believe that your husband was cheating. And I know I've already said this twice, but I really want to drive this point through. If somebody gets willingly drunk, still conscious, and decides to sleep with somebody who is not their partner, that is cheating. If somebody gets blackout drunk, and somebody else gets them naked and on top of them without consent, that is sexual abuse. I'm sorry I've said that so many times in this video, but it is a very important point. And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Also, if you feel like chatting with others from this community, you can always join my Discord server and check out my subreddit. I'll leave the links in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video.